New Year's Day has always carried a heavy silence in my house. It should feel like a fresh start, but for me, it has become just another reminder of how distant my life feels from the happiness I once imagined. My husband barely spoke a word to me the night before, retreating into his own world like he always does, and I woke up to an empty living room, no laughter, no warmth, not even a simple Happy New Year. I poured myself a glass of wine far too early in the day just to distract from the ache of being unseen. I tried to convince myself that loneliness was normal after years of marriage, that comfort eventually replaced passion, but deep down I hated how invisible I had become. I thought about the person I used to be, vibrant, hopeful, full of plans, and wondered how she slipped away without me noticing. Marriage was supposed to feel like a safe harbor, but lately, it felt like being stranded on an island where no one could hear me calling out. I wanted to talk, to laugh, to feel desired again, but my husband had grown comfortable with silence, and I had grown tired of begging for scraps of attention. The house was too quiet, the ticking clock too loud, every second stretching out in front of me. The ache of loneliness felt heavier because it was New Year's Day, a time when people are supposed to be together, celebrating, making promises. Instead, I was staring at the walls, remembering when I used to feel chosen. And then, just as the weight of it all threatened to break me, a knock came at the door, unexpected, sharp, pulling me out of the emptiness I had been drowning in. It was strange to see him standing there, holding a small bag he said my son had left behind. I expected him to hand it over quickly and leave, but instead, he lingered, smiling politely, as if he sensed how empty the house felt. I invited him in out of courtesy, but once he stepped inside, the silence that had been suffocating me softened. We began with casual talk, light comments about the new year, how fast time was moving, and the plans young people make with such ease. What surprised me was how natural it felt, like speaking to someone who actually cared to listen. His eyes didn't drift away when I spoke, and I realized how long it had been since I had felt that kind of attention. One moment led to another, and our words grew heavier. He asked how I was doing, not the surface-level question most people ask, but with a tone that suggested he genuinely wanted to know. I admitted more than I should have, saying how quiet the holiday had been, how sometimes the house felt like a shell instead of a home. He nodded, his gaze steady, and shared small pieces of his own restlessness, dreams that felt just out of reach, and how the world often demanded more than it gave back. As we spoke, I noticed the little details I wasn't supposed to, how his laughter broke through the stillness, how his presence made the room feel warmer, how easy it was to forget the difference in our ages. Every glance carried something unspoken, and though we both avoided naming it, the air between us shifted. For the first time in years, I felt visible again, as if someone truly saw me, not as a spouse or a parent, but as a person worth listening to. The space between us began to feel smaller, though neither of us had moved. It was in the way our voices dropped, in the pauses that lingered longer than they should have, in the pull of something both of us tried to ignore. I could hear my own heartbeat, louder than the faint fireworks outside. A part of me screamed to stop, to remember my role as a spouse and a mother, but another part whispered that this was the first time in years I had felt alive. That whisper was stronger. His eyes lingered on me in a way that said everything words couldn't, and when his hand brushed mine, the hesitation disappeared. The kiss came suddenly, reckless yet inevitable, and I didn't pull away. The weight of guilt pressed against me, but it was overpowered by the rush of feeling wanted again. Every touch was a reminder of what I had been missing: softness, urgency, the sense that I mattered. I knew what we were doing was wrong, that lines were being crossed that couldn't be uncrossed, but I couldn't bring myself to stop. The years of being ignored, of swallowing silence, of pretending I was content, all of it erupted in that moment, and I gave in without resistance. Time seemed to blur. Every excuse I told myself, it's just one night, no one will ever know, it doesn't erase the years I've given my family, was fragile, but I clung to them anyway. The world outside didn't matter, and for those stolen hours, neither did the rules I had lived by. It wasn't just physical, it was emotional release, a desperate grasp at something I thought I had lost forever. When it was over, the silence returned, heavier than before, carrying both satisfaction and dread. Morning light crept in as if determined to expose everything we had done. The house was still, but the air carried a different weight than it had the night before. He dressed quietly, eyes darting toward me as though searching for permission to speak, yet neither of us seemed capable of forming the right words. A faint smile, half guilt and half regret, passed between us before he said he should go. I only nodded, my voice caught somewhere between wanting to thank him and wanting to beg him to